Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Virginia Association for Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers Virtual College Fair. Thank you so much for joining us. We are really excited you are here. Before we get started, we do have a few housekeeping items to note. First, if you have any questions at all, feel free to use the Q&A button to type in your questions to the presenters at any time. They are there ready and available to assist and answer your questions. If you have a specific question, feel free to also note that in your question. Your camera and microphone are off. You are muted and your video is off. The panelists can't see or hear you. There are more sessions happening. This is one of many college presentations being offered, so feel free to sign up for more sessions where you registered for this one. And lastly, this recording will be available a week from today. All sessions are being recorded and can be accessed at strivescan.com/Virginia. We are currently in session B2, and this will also be the same order of presentations. We are currently, we're going to go ahead and jump down to American University, but hope to hear more from York College of Pennsylvania. So for now, we'll go ahead and get started with the representative from American University.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Stinson. I'm an assistant director at American University, and I just have a quick little PowerPoint for you all. I work with students who live in Virginia, West Virginia, and Washington, D.C. So we'll just go ahead and get started. All right, so AU is located in the upper Northwest neighborhood or area of Washington, D.C. It's about 4 miles from the White House. So there's a lot where you are kind of removed, but also you have access to all that D.C. and the DMV has to offer. Our student population, we have about 8,500 undergraduate students. Our class size is average at around 23. The student to faculty ratio campus-wide is 11-to-1. And so we have about 32% of our student body that identify as students of color, all 50 states represented, and 122 countries represented. So these are our 6 schools and colleges on AU's campus. So if you apply to AU, you're applying to the school as a whole, but you don't have to declare your major until the end of sophomore year. So these are the options, and you can double major in between schools. It's really up to you. And students don't have to declare their major, like I mentioned earlier, until the end of sophomore year. So you have plenty of time to figure out what you're most interested in. So internships are a big deal with our location and everything as well. Students, about 91% of students take part in at least one internship during their time at AU, but many do 2 or 3. It's really up to you based off of what you're interested in, figuring out career choices, things like that. We also have the U-Pass, which is an unlimited Metro card that we give to all of our undergraduate and graduate students because we don't want transportation to be an issue, just in getting to where you need to be for internships, but also exploring the area. So study abroad, about 78% of students study abroad during their time at AU. So even though things are a bit different right now with the pandemic, we are still looking at places that will be safe to travel to once restrictions lift. And students are also still very much interested in going abroad. Okay, so just to give you a snapshot of what we're looking for admissions-wise, so we have 2 early decision dates and then 1 regular decision date. So early decision 1 is due by November the 15th. Early decision 2, January the 15th, and regular decision is also due January the 15th. So early decision, those 2 are binding. We also recommend applying for financial aid, completing the free application for federal student aid, and also the CSS profile when you apply, so that if you're admitted, you will get that response back with also your award letter attached. Just a couple things I want to go over for the application itself. We are and have been test optional for about 11 years now. So if you end up taking the test, if it's safe to and you want to, you can send us your scores if you'd like. But if you decide to apply test optional, it does not negatively affect your application at all. We just look at every other section a little bit more heavily. So with that being said, also another thing for the transcript, just as you all are taking classes, continue to try to take courses that challenge you in some way, especially if it's a subject that you like. When we look at the transcript, we also look at your high school report form just to see what's offered at your school and then the options that you're taking, that you're deciding to take your school up on. And also the resume and activities, even though we've been at home for over a year now, virtual clubs, activities, hobbies that you enjoy, they're all important for us. So we're just interested in getting to know more about you. We do have special academic programs. These are all separate applications. The priority deadline for these special academic programs is December the 15th. So with the 3-year programs, it's all a little bit more concise. Basically, you're going to school in the fall, spring, and summer for 3 years. So feel free to apply for that if one of those interests you. AU Honors Program, Community-Based Research Scholars, Frederick Douglass Distinguished Scholars, and also the Secure Scholars Program. Those are also additional applications, but it's within the AU portal and provides additional scholarships as well. So this is my contact information. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions about anything at all, and you know, about what AU is looking for, but also if you want to connect as far as visiting campus. We're doing limited tours at the time, but we're also, you know, virtually engaged with us, information sessions, things like that. But yeah, so thank you all for taking the time to listen. Feel free to email me or also ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. The next representative is from Purdue University.
Good evening, my name is Barbara Bauer, and I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully you can see the full screen here. Get this started. All right, we're so happy to have you join me. I'm Assistant Director in the Office of Admissions at Purdue University, and I have with me tonight, Tiffany Carter is our regional representative in Washington, DC. So we are both happy to answer any questions that you might have. But Purdue University is located in West Lafayette, the heart of Indiana. It's a large public university that is also a land-grant university for the state of Indiana. We have over 34,000 students, almost 35,000 undergraduate students. About 51% of our students come from the state of Indiana, and then we have students from every state in the United States and over 125 different countries. It's definitely a college town. There's always something going on in the campus. It's a very walkable community. The students can access the city bus free of charge to get around, but we have sporting events and theater performances and all kinds of things happening all year round. But we're about an hour north of Indianapolis and about 2 hours south of Chicago. There are a number of different opportunities students can take advantage of. So whether you want to study abroad or do research, we have 2,000 different research projects going on campus. Students take advantage of getting to work, maybe working on campus or accelerating their career with like a degree in 3, like Charlotte's behind the microphone. She was able to work at the local radio station while earning her communications degree in 3 years. And SJ's holding a Tupperware. He's been working on a project with partnership with Tupperware to create a smart Tupperware. And on the end is Zach. He's came to Purdue to study engineering and was able to get an amazing internship with Walt Disney World right before he left. So whether it be opportunities for internships or study abroad or work experiences, they're all available for you to explore. Purdue has one of the top Center for Career Opportunities. We call it the CCO, and we have over 1,700 unique employers that come to Purdue just to hire you. So when you're looking for that dream job or wanting to launch your career, we're going to support you with being able to help you prepare your resume or practice your interview skills, or even if you want to go on to med school, law school, or vet school, we have pre-professional advisors that will support you with that. Well, Purdue has nearly 1,000 student organizations, so we want to encourage you to get involved while you're on campus and follow your passion, whether if you have an interest in music. We don't have any music majors, but we have hundreds of students involved in our All-American Marching Band and Glee Club and Purduettes. We have students that give back to the community through Habitat for Humanity or College Mentors for Kids. And if you want to just meet some new friends with a new activity, like these students around this golden retriever are in the Pet a Puppy Club. So even fun things like that are going on campus. Now here's the fun fact. We happen to have the fastest and the largest school mascot in the country, and that's the Boilermaker Special. It's the train. So one of the fun traditions on campus is to go free ride Fridays to ride around. But there's even a student organization that takes care of the train and drives it and maintains the traditions at Purdue. And we have 11 colleges and schools and over 200 different majors. So you'll be using the common application to apply to Purdue, and you can indicate a first choice preference and a second choice preference. But we have the College of Engineering, College of Science, Pharmacy, Health and Human Sciences, Krannert School of Management, College of Education, Polytechnic Institute, Agriculture, Veterinary Medicine, Education, and even if you're undecided, there's even a program called Exploratory Studies, where you can take up to 4 semesters to decide what's going to be that right fit for that degree that you want to earn. Now, when we're evaluating your applications, we're looking at you to make sure that you've met all minimum high school course requirements that Purdue expects. We're looking at the rigor of your classes. We're looking at a positive academic trend or grades. We want to see that you're taking advantage of those opportunities that are available to you. We're going to ask you to write a solid essay and let us know some more about yourself, because we want to know what you've been involved in, and conclude a couple letters of recommendation if you choose to do so. The major you apply for, some majors are more competitive than others, so that could be part of that holistic comprehensive review, and you can include a couple letters of recommendation or additional information if you choose to do so. Now at Purdue, we've been able to keep tuition frozen for 10 consecutive years, so it's been able to help more students graduate almost debt-free or nearly debt-free. So we're really proud that we've been able to help all students with the cost of education. We encourage you to visit campus. You can take a look at our website, admissions.purdue.edu, to check out all of our virtual opportunities that are going on. And this summer, we have some small campus student ambassador-led tours that we're starting up again, and we'll be anticipating additional activities into the fall semester. So we hope that you'll take advantage of looking at all these different experiences that we have at Purdue and checking out the campus someday in the future. Thank you for joining us tonight, and hope you enjoy your experience.
Very helpful information. Thank you. Just a friendly reminder that if anyone has any questions, to feel free to submit those through the Q&A. We are here to help you and answer any questions that you have. And if you have a specific question for a school, please also note that in your question as well. The next representative is from the University of Alabama.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Dugas, and I am the University of Alabama's regional recruiter for Virginia. So that means that I do live and work out of my house in Charlottesville, Virginia. I telecommuted before everybody else started doing it, actually 15 years. But I am usually the person who would visit your high school, meet with you in person in a normal year, or this year, meet with you via Zoom. So I'll give you a quick overview of the university. You can see this is just an aerial shot of just the very center of our campus. The campus is much bigger than this, but you can see it's very nice, clean, green. It always looks like that. And very stately buildings, lots of red brick, also some Jeffersonian elements. You can't really see that in the picture here, but you can see in the picture behind me, we have some domes and some rotunda looking buildings. So some things you might be familiar with here in Virginia. So we are located in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It is about 45 minutes from Birmingham, which is the largest city in the state. Birmingham has just over 1 million people. Tuscaloosa has roughly 500,000 people. So it's a medium-sized city. So it's big enough that you have, that's our old-fashioned theater downtown. You have you can see some hotels and some high rises there. There's, things to do, places to go out, places for your family to stay, places for, your parents to take you out to dinner, nice restaurants, everything. There is also a river that is the north border of campus. You can't really see it in the picture, but it's kind of that dark line that goes under at an angle underneath the top of the T in Tuscaloosa up there. That's the river where there's not any lights. And then you can see right in front of that, the River Walk, where there are plenty of lights. So that's definitely a popular area with students as well. And then our campus is just off the top of this screen here. So just about a mile from where this drone shot was taken. So plenty of things to do. We don't have a commercial airport in Tuscaloosa, so you don't fly in and out of Tuscaloosa unless you happen to have your own plane, which a few people have actually taken me up on that. Otherwise, you do fly in and out of Birmingham, or you can drive. All of our students are allowed to have cars on campus, including freshmen. Or there's also the train, which goes from DC down through several other parts of Virginia and all the way into downtown Tuscaloosa. And actually right there underneath the bottom of Alabama down there, that is the train station. So about a mile from campus. So we are a large university. You can see that we have over 37,000 students, counting graduate students, 32,000 undergrads. Almost 60% of our students are from out of state. That is down a percentage point this year for obvious pandemic reasons. But Virginia is one of the top 10 states that we do get students from. So if you were to attend, you certainly wouldn't be one of just a few out of state or a few Virginian students. Our last freshman class, you can see our average GPA and test scores, and we're definitely well known for enrolling students with above average test scores, but you don't have to have perfect GPA and test scores. That's one thing I really like about our school. We have a lot of students that do come very much out of the top of their class. We always rank high for national merit finalists, but we don't have only that. So we pride ourselves on all types of diversity, including academic diversity. So there's definitely a lot of variance in our freshmen. As for our majors, they're on this screen. I apologize if you are looking on a phone because they're going to be tiny, but we have majors in most everything. Not quite. We don't have schools of architecture, veterinary medicine, or agriculture, although we can do all of that or things that are related to all of those. All of our majors are strong. We are a Carnegie R1 research university. All of them have undergraduate research opportunities in them, and all of them have internship opportunities as well. You can certainly double major. A few people triple major. You can double minor. I did that as well. You don't have to know what you want to major in when you start out. The only things that have special admission requirements for freshmen are the performing arts that do require auditions, but otherwise it's no harder to be admitted to engineering or nursing or anything else than it is to be admitted to English or history. And you can freely move between majors without having to apply to be admitted to the next major. And of course, we have all the pre's, and our admit rates to graduate schools and professional schools exceed the national average. So this is the first of several slides where I'm going to have to be a little vague. We don't yet know for sure if we're going to be test optional, but we do know we're going on the Common App this year for the first time. So we're going to still have our own application in the Common App, app fee, transcripts, and probably optional in the SAT or ACT. Not for sure yet. No essays or letters of recommendation required. December 15th is the priority deadline for scholarship consideration, and then you have a month to do your scholarship application. Honors College, same thing, a little vague because we're not sure about that test optional, but you can see the different paths to being admitted to the Honors College, and if you don't get admitted to it as an incoming freshman because of your GPA or test scores or other requirements, if you attend Alabama and you get at least a 3.5 in your first semester, then you can be admitted to the Honors College after that one semester. We have plenty to do on campus, as you might expect with the large school that we have. So plenty of student organizations, the #1 Greek system in the entire country, excellent food, you know, all of the top class facilities you would expect, and one of the largest Starbucks on any college campus in the country. We guarantee housing for all of our freshmen, and it's some of the nicest that you'll find. Most of our students, the majority, do live in 4-bedroom apartment style housing. So they get their own bedrooms, share a bathroom with one other student, and share a kitchen and a living room with 3 other students. And that is the majority of our freshman housing. Of course, we have D1 athletics. We're pretty good. Most people know that. And we are expecting to go back to full capacity in the fall. We haven't been in the past, this past season, of course, as no one has. This is, again, vague, probably going to changes a little each year, but just to give you a rough idea of our standard merit scholarships and then our test optional scholarships, we assume these are going to continue. Finally, that's my contact information. Let me know if you have any questions or anything, and roll tide.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. Our last representative, but certainly not least, is from Xavier University. Unfortunately, Winthrop University was unable to attend, and so we're excited to hear from Xavier University.
Well, thank you. It is a pleasure to be with all of you this evening and give you a little bit of background. My name is Erin Melody, and similar to Elizabeth, I am a regional recruitment director for Xavier University in this case, and I cover the entire Mid-Atlantic. Xavier is a Jesuit Catholic university located in Cincinnati, which for those of you who may not be familiar is in the southwest corner of Ohio. Our metro area is home to just over 2 million people and is consistently ranked as a top city for college grads by Smart Asset. Thus, having all of these opportunities of being in a major metropolitan area, our students have wonderful opportunities to use the city as an extension of our campus, academically, socially, culturally, and professionally. Our 190-acre park-like campus is located within the city limits, approximately a 10-minute drive from the heart of downtown. The university is home to about 5,000 full-time undergraduates, so a medium-sized school, but with a small-size feel. Xavier has a 12-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio and an average class size of 21. Those 5,000 full-time undergraduate students choose from 90 plus majors and programs in one of 4 colleges. Our oldest and largest school being the College of Arts and Sciences, our Williams College of Business, which is AACSB accredited, our School of Professional Sciences, which is also home to our education and sports studies majors, and our School of Nursing, which is direct entry and is housed in the newest building on campus, the Health United building, more affectionately known as the Hub. At Xavier, we are incredibly proud of our 98% success rate. What this means is within 6 months of graduation, 98% of our students are employed in a job that requires a bachelor's degree, or are enrolled full-time in graduate school, or they are participating in a long-term service commitment like the military or the Peace Corps. How do we achieve that success? Well, every student at Xavier is assigned their own success team upon arrival. These 4 coaches that you can see listed on the slide are there to be your support network, to assist you in making the transition to college life, to guide you to or in your major, to connect you with mentors, research opportunities, and internships, and to keep you on track to graduate and successfully move on to the next phase of your life. At Xavier, we are members of the Common Application. We have no application fee. Xavier is a rolling decision school, and our priority deadline is December 1st. What does rolling decision mean? Well, that means you will receive your admission and initial scholarship decision usually within 2 to 4 weeks of your application file becoming complete with us. That kicks off in October each year, and we just keep rolling through the spring. You do have until May 1st to make your commitment. For need-based aid, we only require the FAFSA. As far as finding your niche and where we might be and where you might fall, the middle 50% of our incoming class at Xavier has a GPA between a 3.2 and a 3.9. But most importantly, for this year and ongoing, we continue to be test optional, as we were test optional prior to COVID. When asked what is a typical Xavier student, my reply is often a Xavier student is an engaged student. Our students are involved in a variety of activities, including study abroad. We have 75 locations on 6 continents. Honors programs, we have 5. Community service, both in Cincinnati and globally, or one of our 170 different clubs and organizations, ranging from ethnic and social groups, to interest and hobby groups, to intramurals and club sports. In the middle of campus, you will find the Cintas Center, home of Xavier basketball, members of the Big East Conference, where student tickets are free and our extreme fans camp out for the best seats at the big games. Xavier is a true community. Our mascot, D'Artagnan the Musketeer, would say, all for one and one for all. The class of 2024 arrived on campus this past August from across the country, 55% of them from outside the state of Ohio, which actually was down a bit because of COVID. Of the 1,300 students in that first year class, 24% of them identified as students of color, 19% of them are the first generation in their family to attend college, and they represent 18 different religious traditions. We are a residential campus. Housing is required and guaranteed for the first 2 years. 90% of our students live on or within a 5-block radius of campus. Students can have a car on campus all 4 years, and there's fantastic access to the city and local amenities by public transportation, student shuttles on weekends, and rideshare services. I encourage you to explore our campus further. We are open for in-person visits, and we have some fantastic virtual offerings on our Making a Musketeer page. Those pages are specifically designed to aid students in their college search, even beyond what Xavier has to offer you. Should you have any questions or would like to set up an individual appointment, please be in touch.
Awesome, thank you. We do have some time left, and so at this point, we'll go ahead and pivot into our Q&A portion of the session. And at this time, it's also a great opportunity to submit your questions through the Q&A. So if you have any questions at all, again, our representatives are here to answer your questions, and they can go in there and again submit those through the Q&A button. The first question is, what advice would you give someone going through the college search process? Again, what advice would you give someone going through the college search process? And we'll go ahead and get started in the same order in which you all presented in. And you can go ahead and turn on your cameras at this time and unmute yourselves.
Excuse me. The advice that I would give those just starting the college process or going into it, really turn inward as far as looking at what you're interested in through your college experience. Even if you're not sure academically of what you want to go into, start to think like, am I really interested in a larger or a smaller school? But then also try things out. I think, you know, with a lot of schools doing virtual information sessions, that's very helpful in kind of being at the school without being at the school physically. So just to get a feel for what you're interested in looking into. That's one thing. And then also communicate. If you have questions on anything, reach out to the counselors at the schools. We are happy to answer any questions, and also just help in any way, even if it's to answer questions about what programs we have.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. So like Barbara had mentioned during the start of our presentation, my name is Tiffany Carter, and I'm the regional representative for Purdue. And I live in the state of Maryland, and I would be the person to visit you all in person and to participate in any Zoom events for high school visits. So to answer that question, I would say my biggest piece of advice is just to make sure that the college search process for you is student-centric. So just in other words, just make sure that you're at the forefront of that process. So you're going to have a lot of influences, and rightfully so, because it's always helpful to get other people's opinions, and they can definitely help you throughout the process. But just make sure that your needs and your goals and your desires are at the forefront of that process. And just feel empowered throughout. So just to piggyback off of what Michelle said, even in that process of feeling empowered, that's kind of rooted in transparency. So if you need that extra help for folks to just kind of break things down for you, definitely reach out and ask for that.
My biggest piece of advice is to ignore rankings and selectivity altogether. It's so easy to get caught up in, you know, the schools with the lowest admission rates, the hardest to get into, the Ivies, the prestige. The prestige of a school really has nothing to do with the experience that you're going to have. And you know what is not calculated into the rankings in any way is the actual quality of education that the school provides. That is not a factor in any ranking. So you want to look for a school that's going to be a good fit for you. You're going to hear that word fit from all of us college reps, as well as your school counselors. You want a school that's a good fit for you, but that's also going to put you in a good place when you graduate. And many schools that you haven't heard of, many schools that are less selective, many schools that are maybe not always the talked about, most prestigious, most ranked at the top schools, are able to put you in a really good place when you graduate. They also may be able to give more scholarship money. You're definitely more likely to get merit-based aid at a school where you're in the to the top of the applicant pool, as opposed to more the middle or bottom of the applicant pool. And you may get more one-on-one attention, and you also may be able to stand out more on that campus. So students who often are able to become campus leaders and able to be at the top of their class, that may be because they chose a school that was not the most selective that they could get admitted to. So just don't get hung up on rankings and selectivity. Pick the one that's the best fit for you.
Elizabeth, thank you for mentioning the idea of scholarship, because I have two quick pieces of advice. The first is to start to have the financial conversation now, because I think if you talk to any of us about what we're talking to your senior schoolmates about right now, it's the financial piece. And it's too late to be starting that conversation now, next year, when you're in that position. So start to have honest conversations as a family about the financial piece. But the flip side to that, my other piece of advice, is to have fun. This is not supposed to be the daunting process that the media has made it out to be. We are all here to be resources for you. I promise we don't bite. We're here to, interact with you and be helpful. So as you're going through this process, don't get more stressed out over it. It's not worth it in the end, because I promise you, there are thousands of colleges across this country. You will find, as has been mentioned before in this group, the right fit, the right home for you for those next 4 years.
Awesome. Thank you. All great advice. It's always great hearing directly from those who work at the respective institutions to share just advice or any things to keep in your back pocket. So really helpful. The next question is, what is your favorite event or tradition on campus?
Right. So one of the most fun traditions that I've heard about for current students. So there's Founders Week. It's usually in January of each year. So there are lots of activities, but then at the end of the week, there's a Founders Ball, and it's at an undisclosed location, but because we're in DC, thankfully, it's going to be really cool wherever it's going to be. So it's been at plenty of museums, things like that. And also I like how inclusive it is because you just reserve your ticket, but then if you don't have a ball gown in your closet, I don't. So if that's the case, you can borrow one. Like, they will have gowns and outfits for people to just kind of like just to rent. So it's not as if it has to be something that's like super expensive at all, just to go to some location and just hang out and dance with your friends. So that's one thing that I see that American University students get to do that I wish was the case for me when I was in college.
Awesome. So there are a lot of fun traditions at Purdue. I would say my favorite is whenever it snows, because remember, we're Midwest, so you'll experience all 4 seasons. Our students go sledding on Slater Hill. And so it's just a big inclusive event. Everyone comes out just to have fun. And what I really like about it is, so before, kids would take like the lunch trays to go sledding. So once everyone kind of caught on to that, we stopped using lunch trays in our dining hall. So the fun thing about it is that kids will just use anything that's available to them. So we've had students use like the trash can lids, Tupperware lids, skis, all sorts of things. And I think that shows just the innovation and ingenuity of our students. And it's a really fun event.
It may sound a little cliche, but homecoming. I mean, we're the University of Alabama. We're certainly known for our football. Our stadium seats 101,000 people. So for homecoming, it's actually a whole 2-week celebration. So it's not just the game, although of course it culminates in the game, which we usually win. But it starts with there are step shows, there are dance competitions, there are lawn decorations, there's a parade, there's all kinds of groups that compete against each other in different flag football events and other sporting competition type events, and they accrue points for winning them. And so some of them are kind of silly, some of them are really competitive, and lots of them are very fun. We also always have a bonfire. We have a pep rally. We have the elephant stomp, which is before the game. Our mascot is an elephant, Big Al, because it's hard to depict Crimson Tide in a carpet suit that on the sidelines. So Big Al leads the band and the cheerleaders and the football players, followed by the fans, to the stadium. They start with the pep rally and then they go across campus from the library steps all the way to the stadium. And that's how everyone leads into the stadium, is through the elephant stomp. And of course, the school spirit's through the roof and there's roll tide everywhere. So it's definitely a good way to to experience the kind of Alabama school spirit culture that we're known for.
I would say one of my favorite traditions at Xavier actually spans all 4 years. And what it starts with is the convocation at the end of move-in. And so we invite everybody into Cintas, and we use maybe a quarter of the arena, and the first year students and their families come together, and it's basically a welcome, it's a blessing, and it's a farewell. The students at that point say farewell to their parents, and their parents go off and leave their students behind to truly become part of the Xavier family at that point. But what it signifies is that we start at one end of the Cintas Center, and graduation 4 years later is actually intentionally then handled from the other end of the Cintas Center to show that they've come through Xavier, they've expanded their knowledge, they've grown as individuals, and they have grown in the Xavier tradition and have come through their Xavier experience and are graduating it and being sent out into the world to be proud Musketeer alumni.
Great. That's always my favorite part, is hearing all the different traditions on campus and what makes your school really unique. So our next question is similar, but can you please give an interesting or fun fact about your school?
So a couple of that are really interesting about American University, just with our location, it's close to the Embassy Row. So students for Halloween, like they would dress up and go trick-or-treating at the houses on Embassy Row. So you're getting different treats from plenty of different countries. And so I think that's really cool. But then also another thing that I appreciate about AU is within our School of International Service, there's a student-run coffee shop. It's the Davenport Lounge, so they call it the DAV, and so I just love that it's like students who run it. It's their thing, and I was really excited to go sit in there and work from on campus. And then the pandemic hit, so that is like one of my #1 places that I'm interested in going back to when things open up a little bit more.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I can't just give one fun fact. So let's see. Who loves popcorn? I do. So Orville Redenbacher, he is a Purdue grad. Who loves stuffing? I do. So Ruth Sims, she's the creator of the stuffing recipe. She is a Purdue grad. Amelia Earhart, she was actually a career consultant with us back in the 30s. So we've actually maintained her room and office space on campus. And an even more little known fact is that the plane she was chartering at the time of her disappearance, it actually belongs to Purdue. So if it's ever found, it will come back to us on campus. Another thing, we are known as the cradle of astronauts and the cradle of quarterbacks. So we have the most grads who are NASA astronauts and most quarterbacks signed to the NFL. So those are some fun facts about Purdue.
We're going to fight you for that quarterback title pretty soon, I'm sure, Tiffany. So one just kind of cool, quirky thing that we have at the university, most of our housing I described earlier is going to be the suite style housing. And of course, we have traditional style and the hybrid as well. But we have one unique residence hall that is entirely student run. It's called Mallet Assembly. The students who are already in it select from applicants who apply to be in, entirely governed by the students that are currently in the program. They assign the rooms, they contract or handle all of the cleaning and maintenance for the building themselves. So they get that experience of building management and of managing human resources management issues. They do have a lower housing cost because of that increased responsibility they have. They also serve as all of the resident advisors. They are the conflict mediators. So depending on what experience you're looking for, whether it is, you're looking to go to law school, so that mediation is what you're looking for, or whether you're in business and you're looking for the management aspect, students entirely run that entire dorm and every aspect about it themselves. So I think that's pretty cool.
As someone who is used to being the last to present, being an ex-school at everything I do, my fun fact is super quick, but it is the fact that we were the first campus in the United States and to have its own pizza ATM. We were a beta testing site, and so you can order and get pizza 24 hours a day from our pizza ATM.
Awesome. That it was a quick one. And so thank you guys for all the fun, unique, just interesting facts about your school. It's always interesting, again, to hear those. We're going to try to see if we can fit in one more question. I didn't give you guys time to prep for this one, but I think you guys will be fine. And that question is, what is the #1 question that you receive from students going through the college search process? Again, what is the #1 question that you receive from students going through the college search process?
I feel like I'm thinking along the lines of like the #1 question that I would get like at a high school visit, just in general. A lot of the time, because we are in DC and like we have the School of Public Affairs, like usually people will ask about other important other majors and if they're successful or not in different schools. And so to that, I respond like, yes, because we have like School of International Service, all these different things. But these are still the questions to ask though, because then you can hear about other majors and other topics that maybe you wouldn't first think about when it comes to particular schools, and just looking into those things and how those alums are doing, where they're working, where they're interning, all of those things. So that's probably one of the top questions that I usually get.
Yep, I would piggyback off of Michelle, just wanting to know what Boilermakers have been up to, where they're working at, and things like that. And then I usually get some variation of the question asking, how can I customize my experience? So whether that's double majoring, adding the minor, certificate, what study abroad opportunities available, research. So just really wanting to know how they can be a global citizen at Purdue and what opportunities are out there for them to expand their experiences and knowledge.
I often get that you're an out-of-state school, so automatically you're going to be more expensive and you're going to be harder to get into. And we're definitely not harder to get into out of state. Our admission standards are the same in and out of state. I know that's not the case for all public schools out of state, but that is our policy. So it's no harder to get admitted to the University of Alabama as an out-of-state student than it would be as an in-state student. And actually my admission rate as the Virginia recruiter is higher than the Alabama recruiter's admission rates. So my students tend to get in. And with cost, sticker price, yes, out-of-state tuition is going to be higher on paper than in-state tuition, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you will pay. In many cases, my students are able to get merit scholarships or financial aid or competitive scholarships. This year it was test optional scholarships. And so with the right credentials or the right resume, they can end up paying less, or even in some cases, way less than they would be paying in state. So don't just automatically assume that you'll be paying the sticker price or that it'll be more expensive out of state.
This early in the process, I will say I have two questions that I tend to see a lot at college fairs. The first is a student walks up to my table and wants to know how to say the name of my school because it just throws them for a loop. So it is Xavier, even that X, it is Xavier. But then usually their second question is, you know, especially for those early in the college search process, is what is a Jesuit university? They're often perplexed by the idea, do you have to be Jewish to go to a Jesuit university? And the answer to that is that Jesuits are actually an order of Catholic priests who have basically dedicated their mission in almost 500 years of existence to education. And so we have 27 Jesuit colleges and universities across the United States. So if you have enjoyed what you've heard about Xavier tonight, or familiar with other Jesuit schools across the country, the BCs, the Georgetowns, and the Loyolas of this world, certainly come and check us out.
Awesome. Thank you so much to our presenters. You guys did an amazing job. It was so great to hear in the Q&A and just all the information you all shared. So thank you for being here. We have reached the conclusion of this session, but just want to thank you all, to each of you, for joining us. As we close, there'll be a very quick 4-question survey that will appear on your browser. If you don't mind taking a moment to fill that out for us, it'll be greatly appreciated. There are more sessions happening, so feel free to sign up for more sessions where you registered for this one. And all sessions are being recorded, so feel free to, and so therefore recordings will be available a week from today at strivescan.com/Virginia. Again, thank you and have a great night.